Hey guys, welcome back to Tower of God New World. In today's video, I wanted to go through my top 5 underrated or most slept on units, however you want to phrase it, but they're units that I feel like a lot of people may not be using, they may have in their roster, and these units could really help you out in different aspects of the game. So this is going to be in no particular order. I don't think like one is the most slept on or anything like that. I'm just going to give 5 units that you could get some really good value out of, and one of them, which is the first one I'll cover, is definitely on everyone's roster. If someone doesn't have this unit, please let me know. I feel bad for you. You must not have summoned yet. But the first one is going to be Apple. Now, Apple, massive shout out to my mate Nico. He told me about Apple on like day 3 of the game. And he's like, dude, this character is like upping my boss damage so much. At that stage, I was like, yeah, cool, dude. Like, I'm not too stressed about bosses. I slapped her in. I was doing the damage. But then I did some testing later without her in it. And against the evasion bosses, which is the blue dude, the bosses that are... Where's the guy? Where's the guy? This guy. And also Zahad, that are evasion style bosses, she's absolutely huge on. Now the reason for that is, one, this ability. She basically reduces the evasion of the enemy by 80%. There's only one enemy in the boss fight, so you don't have to worry about multiple enemies, anything like that. But it reduces their evasion, and then on top of that, increases the duration of the debuff she applies by 100%. Now, the 100% goes down if you don't have a max dupe, but it's still a good increase to the duration. And this is 10 seconds. If you get that up to 20 seconds, it's a 100% uptime of this, meaning one of the issues in those boss fights is that, like, for me, I use my hats as my carry. Even with like really well invested gear and stuff, my hats just always misses if I don't have her on the team, and being able to land those hits is a huge benefit. So definitely test her out. It doesn't hurt you to slap her in. See you go. If you're in the standard one, you can bounce out and try again. If you're in the other one, you can, you get 5 tries. So experiment. I definitely think she's one that could help a lot of people out with their boss damage. Moving on from that, the next unit that I don't actually have on this account, but I love him in tech uses on other accounts, and that is going to be old mate, I don't know his name, the grappling man, the one-eyed wolf, Blarode? Dude, I don't even know how to say his name, but this dude, literally, I don't even care about the rest of the kit. The rest of the kit could be alright, but just, you'll find in this game, kind of like when we use Endorsey Cheese to group the enemy team up, manipulating enemy team positions can be super beneficial, and this guy, he reels the furthest enemy in. And you've probably faced this guy in campaign. If you face against him in campaign, you've really got to put an invincibility tank against him, otherwise this normally one-shots a character, because normally there's squishies in the back row. But yeah, like this, grappling an enemy and pulling them towards you can be super helpful. On one of my other accounts, I mean, I don't play too many accounts, guys. I'm not that addicted. But one of them, Arc Raptor, was a real issue for me, which is the sniper dude, and being able to grapple that annoying character across. The other one is the blue guy that sits there and just like nukes, like he does his ultimate that just nukes. It's like the coon guy, the gamer one. Like those pesky characters are just so good to grapple in and just clap. It is so helpful. This guy normally, if you don't have him duped up or invested, like he's just gonna flop, but you drag him in and let your DPS hit them, and that is super beneficial. Also, sometimes I've seen people use it with Hua, combining this with Hua, because if that enemy that he's grappling is Hua's target and you pull him in straight away, that means Hua can start getting those shields up and stuff like that. There's other cheesy stuff you can do with Hua, but like that's one way you can do it. But this guy, I just think situationally, if you have him on your roster, he's not one that I'm willing to put on my wish list. He's more of one I'm waiting to get from stones or off banner pools, because I'm not interested in investing in him yet. It's just more for that tech usage of he can get you out of a pickle. Moving on from that, the next unit that I want to dive into is going to be that Arc Raptor. Now, I made a video talking about Arc Raptor being possibly one of the better DPS in the endgame, which I am not at yet, so I can't verify. But massive shout out to Monkey for all his testing. He's completed everything in the game now, essentially. And he said basically that Arc Raptor is one of those ones that is a very, very strong DPS for the SSRs that, is pushing up there to competing with the SSR pluses, and he's one of those units that just having a copy of him isn't going to allow you to test this. The unfortunate thing is, to really experience this, you're going to have to invest in this guy, but he's one of those units that sits in the back row, and just nukes, pierces through, can deal massive amounts of damage, but he is more of an end game type unit. So he's one that, you know, if you're like me, if you look at my account here, I just kept pulling him off banner. And I'm already up to 3 copies of him. He's never been on my wish list, and I also got him from Stones. So he's one of those ones where I'm thinking about shifting him onto my wish list to start building him up. However, we do have the new character coming out on the 30th, who is one that I would rather put on my wish list. I think she's going to be just absolutely amazing for an SSR unit. But yeah, he is one, you know, if you've had a few dupes of him, you can definitely consider, just keep in mind, he's one of those ranged units, kind of like old mate Wang, where they are at range, so you do have to have the tanks in place to help them survive, but definitely one that was slept on by me personally. I never thought anything of him. I was always sad when I got his copies. Now kind of excited to test him out eventually. Moving on from that, this one's a bit more recognized now, but I still think a lot of people may miss out on using her. And she definitely has more usage now that Red has gotten so much buffed so much since the release of the game, because we got Hua and we also got Zhao, however, I still got to figure this out. I suck at names. But since we got those two on Red has become very viable, and now we've got this unit who gives a really, really solid buff at the start of battle. I know a lot of people already know about the rare unit, her, because she gives the extra swiftness at the start, the attack speed, sorry, at the start of battle. But honestly, her buff is just, I love her buff. Her entire kit is actually quite solid, because we do have the knockback as well, which is handy. And then we got the knock up with this one. This one, sometimes she does do a suicide run and get killed because she walks in so that she can be in range of someone to hit it. But in general, this is a really solid buff for the start of the battle to get your carry, like, just pushing in the damage for the first 15 seconds. I really like it. Not all the time. She's not a splashable unit that you're going to use every single battle, but definitely since Red got more support, she's definitely become more viable to use, because then you can maintain a faction bonus. And now the final unit that I wanted to put on this list is going to be one I think a lot of people sleep on. Now, I mention every time I talk about him in a tier list or something like that, but this guy is pretty trash in just general, you know, campaign and stuff like that. But this ultimate deals damage, don't even care about how much damage it deals, and decreases their defense by 80% for 10 seconds. This is an incredibly potent defense break, and he is a yellow unit, so a lot of people are running either Hats or Wang as their carry. So when we look to boss fights, and I'm talking every boss fight, I use this guy in every one, and he boosts my damage so much. Like I said, if you have not tried him or Apple, and you put both of them into your team, especially Apple only on the evasion, not on Data Mashni, but on the other two, you will see a massive increase. I all but guarantee it. Don't hold me to it. I could be wrong. You might have something that I haven't thought of. But honestly, this guy with his defense break. Now, the one problem is at low copies, he does die pretty quick. But often for me, he just gets one ultimate off and it skyrockets my damage so high that the boss gets to the point where they just one-shot my whole team anyway. But it's higher damage that I normally get, obviously with him and Apple for the accuracy. It's higher damage than I normally get from a whole long drawn-out battle without those defense breaks and accuracy buffs. So this guy as well, 100%. Bosses, test him out. He is fantastic for it. That defense shred is just so big and so potent, and it can really amplify that damage. Now, we do have other units that have defense shred, like Kun, like Anima Chick. I always forget her name. But this one is the most potent defense shred that we have in the game. And like I said, especially if you're using a yellow unit as your main damage dealer / carry, it is going to be very effective. So I think that was 5. If not, I apologize. Those are just some units I was thinking about that I just wanted people to be aware of. What was it? We said him, we said the two red units, we said blue grappling hook, and then we also said the old Apple. But definitely Apple, everyone has. Highly recommend it in the boss fights that have evasion, those 2 evasion type boss fights, being the Zahad and the blue dude. I always forget his name. Actually, I don't think I've ever even known his name. Let's just quickly check that, just so we all learn something today. Quant. I do remember that from the anime now. But yeah, hopefully that can help someone out. But as always, guys, thanks for watching. Hope you have an awesome day, and I look forward to seeing the next one. Cheers.